Unit 7 Review, Question 13. Samantha's bathtub has a leaking faucet. She puts a bucket under the leak to catch the water so she can measure the leak. 3 hours later, Samantha checks the bucket and it has 4.5 gallons of water in it. And we're asked, how much water will leak in 24 hours? So the good news is that these problems are very similar to the ratio problems we saw earlier. We can think of them as rate problems instead because we're looking at gallons of water per hour, so a capacity of water in time instead of two like units. But we're going to use the same exact process. You want to start, okay, this is giving you the relationship between the two. 3 hours and 4.5 gallons of water. We know these correspond multiplicatively. Now we're given a different amount of time, okay, 24 hours, and we want to find the corresponding amount of water. Okay, so I should actually, I kind of snuck some given information here. We want to find how much water will leak in 24 hours. So this is actually part of our given. So let's start with this last part of our given, the 24 hours. Okay, we want to find the corresponding amount of water for this. I'm going to put multiplication. I'm going to set up my rate. Okay, now I want my result to be gallons of water. I want hours to cancel. Take the hours amount, put it on the bottom so it cancels. So 3 hours. And on top, we're going to put 4.5 gallons. Okay. Now, before I multiply, I'm just going to verify. Notice the hours cancel, and I'll be left with gallons. Okay. And you can multiply this. You could actually, let's practice multiplying without writing it all out. Okay. So notice we're going to multiply the 24 times 4.5, and then we divide by the 3. And our result is 36. Okay, so we had 24 times 4 where did that come from? 4.5 divided by 3 gallons, and that result was 36 gallons. Now let's look at the next one. Last week you worked 16 hours and earned $192. Your rent costs $652 a month. And here's the question. How many hours do you need to work to earn your monthly rent payment? Okay. So let's look at this. Notice this is our relationship that we know between hours and how much money you make. Okay, now here we're given an amount of money that you want to make. You need $652 a month for your rent payment. Okay, and we want to find the hours. So we're given another dollar amount and we want to find hours. So start with the amount you're given, $652. Okay. Set up your ratio. Okay, so I want dollars to cancel, so I'm going to put the dollars on the bottom. And I want my result to be hours, so I'm going to put hours on top. Okay, and notice this isn't usually how we think of this unit rate. This is hours per dollar. Okay, so this would tell you if we divided just this, how many hours it takes to earn $1, which isn't something usually we find. How many dollars you make an hour, but we're setting it up this way so the units will cancel appropriately and to get our result. So the dollars cancel. Okay. So in our numerator we have 652 times 16 divided by 192. Okay. And on the calculator you don't even need to, again like we did last time, you don't need parentheses or anything. If you do 652 times 16 divide 192, the calculator will do the order of operations correctly. and we get 54, and we'll round this to the nearest hundredth, 0.33 hours. It's officially 54 1/3, but I'm fine with 54.33, and we know it's hours from here. Let's look at the next one. Ryan works a part-time job mowing lawns and can easily mow 3 lawns in 5 hours. If he got very busy one day and he mowed 7 lawns, we want to know how long did it take him. Okay. Again, notice here we're given a relationship. We know 3 lawns per every 5 hours, so this is our relationship, or we can call this our rate. Okay. We're given this extra piece of information. He mowed 7 lawns, and we want to find, so that's the number of lawns, and we want to find the time for 7 lawns. Okay, so start with the extra amount you're given, so the 7 lawns, times, let's set up our ratio. Okay, we want lawns to cancel, so I'm going to put 3 lawns on the bottom and 5 hours on top. Okay, and notice the lawns will cancel and leave us with hours, and that's what we want, the time in hours. Now we can multiply 7 times 5 over 3 hours. Now let's compute this. We'll round if we need to, which we will. So 7 times 5 divided by 3 gives us, rounding to 2 decimal places, I'd round up to 11.67. Equals 11.67 hours. Okay, let's look at the next one. The director of a daycare center can feed 5 children lunch for a week with 4 pounds of macaroni and cheese. So if you see, this is a relationship. You could think of 7 children, 4 pounds. Okay. Now they tell us if she has 16 pounds of macaroni and cheese, so this is our extra given information, how many children can she feed lunch for a week? Okay. So here, relationship. Here we have extra given information, and we are asked to find how many children she can feed in a week. Okay, so start with your extra given information. It'll be 16 pounds. Okay, it's macaroni and cheese, but I don't want to write that, so I'm just going to write 16 pounds multiplication ratio. Okay, now our relationship is 7 children lunch for a week with 4 pounds. So we want to know how many children, and we want the pounds to cancel. So I'm going to put 4 pounds in the bottom so it cancels. And we'll put 7 children in the numerator because that's what we're looking for, the number of children. Okay, before we multiply, notice the pounds cancel. We'll be left with children. That's what we want, so we're looking good. 16 times 7 divided by 4. Okay, you may see we could cancel out a 4 here, and this will be 28, but we'll do it on the calculator too. So 16 times 7 divided by 4 is 28 children. Okay. So with 16 pounds, she could feed 28 children for a week. Let's look at the next one. Lisa is mixing coffee to make her favorite blend. For every 7 pounds of mild roast, she uses 5 pounds of espresso. Okay. So that's the relationship. If Lisa is making 6 pounds in total, that's our extra given information, how many pounds of espresso does she need? And that's our goal. Okay. So this is our relationship between mild roast and espresso. We're given this additional piece of information. She wants 6 pounds, and I want you to notice in total. Okay, so here we're given a relationship between mild roast and espresso, but we're going to need to adjust so the total will cancel. We'll see that in just a second. And we want to know how many pounds of espresso does she need. Okay, so I'm going to start by writing 6 pounds, and I'm going to indicate that it's total. And get this ready. Now we want espresso to be our answer. Okay, and notice we have 5 pounds of espresso. So I'm going to put 5 pounds ESP for espresso. Okay, but I don't want to put 7 pounds of mild roast in the bottom. I want to put the total. Okay, so what would the total be? Well, you could think of it as these are our two parts, and part over whole equals, well, our part of espresso is 5, and our whole would be 5 plus 7, which is 12. Okay. So for every 7 pounds of mild, there's 5 pounds of espresso, but for the total, for every 5 pounds of espresso, there's 12 total pounds, or 5/12 espresso. Okay, so be careful of that wording, but if you write your units and don't just rush through it, you should be okay. So that was, we want 12 total on the bottom. And now let's cancel out these units. Okay, so I know we're good to go. We're going to be left with pounds of espresso. And in the numerator, we have 6 times 5. In the denominator, we just have a 12. Let's compute this, and then we will write the pounds of espresso. So 6 times 5 divided by 12, 2.5. So we didn't need to round, so 2.5 pounds of espresso.